Hey, boys. Hey, boys. Fucking rights.
I like that new intro, Dean.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
it sounded
Lachlan
like
Cross
Big
on the face piano. That's who recorded it for us. Lachlan, the old Canadian boy. We're fucking rights. Fucking right, Lachlan.
Some fairly dirty old harmonica from the Raven.
Fucking
I
rights.
plugged in and just let loose, and then sent them like 5 minutes of me just like blaring, and they cut out 30 seconds of it. And I'm at the point right now where it's just starting to irritate me. But Dean's saying he's going to leave it in there.
Dude, it's so good. I don't care if it irritates you. I dig it. Scotty likes it. He says it's new.
Yeah. It's different. It's different.
Fucking right. Hey, I'm going full Canada today, boys. Fucking right. We don't hear that enough, do we?
Well, you're not in Alberta, Dean. It's pretty normal every day here. Teachers do it. I think teachers teach that in grade 4.
Hey, kids, put your hands up and say fucking rights if you know the answer, okay? Right on.
Scott, I have a question for you. When did you start hearing the Alberta accent? And can you explain it to people? I can't.
He's an Easterner too. He's from the Schwiggity. He's from the Dirty Schwa. So,
but you heard it right when you got here.
Well, it's the same accent.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear it, and you can tell the difference if you're in Alberta long enough. You can tell the difference between someone who is from Alberta and someone who is from British Columbia, and they both speak very differently. So yeah, well, I heard it. I don't know, and I can't think about. Oh, it was a year after, but you definitely pick it up.
There's a difference in the dialect for sure, and I think it's tonality, if you will. It's one of these, right? Like where the fucking guys, like they hang out with different fucking words, and they put the emphasis on the weird syllables, and they're like fucking rights.
Fucking bud. It's not that. It's hard to explain, Dean. The closest thing I can explain the Alberta accent, and I'll meet somebody and I'll go, "Hey, were you born here and raised here? And have you never left the borders of Alberta?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, I've actually, well, no, I've been to Saskatchewan once." And
that's a lie. They don't say that. They say fucking rights.
No, I can't explain it. It's not that, and it's not a use of language. It's this thing. Anyway, you know who has an Alberta accent?
You.
Bonzi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's full Canadian.
Bonzi has.
I wonder if it's from watching like Beachcombers, like only having certain channels when you were growing up as a kid. I used to call it welfare vision. We had like 4 channels. So you were only watching like American WDIV Detroit television, or you were watching everything Canadiana.
Yeah.
And this is how Relic talked. Fucking rights. Yeah. Fucking rights, Relic. Let's go. Bruno Gerussi, let's fucking go.
And if you really want to hear it, you should watch the movie Fubar. Fubar 1, Fubar 2. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
See you later, bud.
I love that there's 2 Fubars.
Which one's your favorite?
I got to go with the first one, the original. The second one lost a little momentum for me, if I'm being honest. I'm quite close with Diener from Fubar. And we've had him on the show multiple times. And the funny thing about it, like, because I'm not one of those, Dean and I have talked about this. I have a really hard time interviewing. I never grew up with wrestling. If you come down and you're like a character, and then there's a conversation behind the scenes about how I have to interview you as your character, I'm going to punch out. I'm sorry, I can't fucking do it. I got to talk to you like a real person. I've never had that ability. But Diener's the only one I've ever been able to talk to. But the thing that Diener doesn't realize from Fubar is that he has become his character. So he doesn't know the difference. Like, he wouldn't be able to admit that. But if you talk to him, he is Diener. Right. So it's easy to actually interview him. Yeah.
Is he Diener like all the time? Because like that was my problem when it came to the Trailer Park Boys. So, by the way, I fucking think are incredible. I love the Trailer Park Boys. So don't. I'm not shitting on them, but they would come in and then they would say stuff like, "We're gonna be Trailer Park Boys today," and I'm like, "All right." And then you'd interview them. Sometimes they're like, okay, today I'm Mike Smith. And I'm like, okay, whatever. That was always a little disconcerting because I always felt like I had to act with them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't want to act. I'd rather just interview. But at the same time, it's fucking amazing how they can go back and forth between those characters. But to Lachlan's point, I think he's full on BERTA. Diener is like what you see is what you get. Like that, those two people have somehow morphed into one. I don't know if he lost like, not Fubar Diener in there somewhere, or maybe Fubar Diener took over the other Diener, but either way, it's fucking amazing. Well, listening to the guy talk, and he was great. We were going to have him on to do a podcast about shrooms, and he's like, fuck, I was going to do it, but I don't think I should have done too many shrooms. I'm like, fuck, I totally get it.
Yeah. He literally backed out because he knew he couldn't just come on and witness that kind of behavior. The funny thing about Diener too is, and this is something that I kind of picked up based on some of our conversations when we weren't on the air, is he's got a wife and kids and lives in Montreal and has a career outside of being Diener, but this still supplements his income. But I don't think she is as keen about the Diener thing as
she's tired of Diener. She wants Dean back.
So if you ever check out like any of his social media, and he'll kill me if I fucking said this, but he's like in a garage. I think she makes him do it in the
garage. Yeah, I love that guy. If you see his Twitter profile picture, I took that picture when he was back in Lethbridge. Doing a thing at a bar. Night Seeker, his band Night Seeker was playing,
which is awesome.
And,
by the way.
Yeah, they were great. And he and I did shotgunning, the beer on stage and stuff like that. And I took a bunch of pictures, and then I emailed him to him, and never heard from him again. And then I noticed that his profile picture is actually the picture that I took.
Yeah, that makes sense. Diener stole a picture from you for his profile pic. That makes total
sense.
Fine.
It's fine. It's my contribution.
Yeah.
No, not that one. There's a different one. Whatever is
still a fucking beauty. Speaking of BERTA, though, let's get into it because Alberta was the very first province. Actually, Saskatchewan was, but no one gives a shit about Saskatchewan or the guy that runs it because there's like 8 people there. And if you're the last one out, turn off the lights if you can. That'd be great. But Alberta was kind enough to unload restrictions. And fascinating because this comes on the heels of the best summer ever.
Yeah, it was.
Where he was like, we're getting rid of restrictions. COVID's gone. All of a sudden, Delta comes around and it fists an entire province and people died. And Kenny's like, well, how was I supposed to know? I'm just a fucking drunk idiot. Who knows? I mean, I'm just a fucking guy. I'm one Christian. What is one Christian going to do in the face of fucking COVID tyranny, he says. Anyway, that all happened. Yeah, that too. Saskatchewan ends their restrictions because, like, fuck, who cares? There's no one around. Whatever. So then Alberta today, they release all restrictions, all mandates, including masks. I understand it. I want to get to Locke and his experience and Scott and his experience. But before we do that, I want to play you the video that his party, the government of Alberta, put out, telling everybody how successful they've been and why now it's time to have a specific listen to the cheerful music. This is unbelievable. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? That's a peppy way to tell people we're rolling the fucking dice with your life, everyone. Let's have a roll. Blow on it.
I feel so much better about the last 2 years now. Like the last 2 years were bad, but that music just melts it all away.
Doesn't that make you feel better? And listen, I know, but no, hold it. So the mask mandates come down. When was this, Scott? Can you
today?
Fill me in? No, hang on. Schools and stuff?
Oh, yeah. So schools actually took masks out the week before we had that reading week, in our family day kind of week in Alberta. And ironically enough, 4 days after Jason Kenney took masks out of schools, guess what? My son comes home with a splitting headache and he says, Dad, I think I'm dying. And where I live, it's very windy, and so I just assume, oh, he's got like a wind headache. In Alberta, we get wind headaches.
Wind headaches.
And so I thought, oh well, here's some Advil, you'll be fine. Next day, he's like, no, I really think I'm dying. And he actually said to my wife, he started crying, and he's like, Mom, I'm not gonna make it till 10, because he's only 8 years old, and because he was in so much pain. Yeah. And so that's when we thought, okay, well, this is obviously COVID. So 4 days after Jason Kenney took off masks from schools, my son brings home COVID to school, to home, and then the next day, of course, I test positive. So
what symptoms did you have, Scott?
Best spring ever. Best spring ever, Scott trades.
Yeah. So I ended up, spending a weekend in bed, crazy body aches, which was weird, and then just flu-like symptoms. I do this thing, and I don't know if you guys do it when you're sick. I just put a bunch of sweaters on and a bunch of blankets, and then I just try and sweat it out. And so I was able to sweat most of it out. I still have some lingering symptoms now, runny nose, it won't go away, a little phlegm kind of thing.
How's the penis, dude?
Yeah,
affected because Locke is terrified.
It's much bigger now.
To do with the wiener.
It's much bigger now. Yeah, my wife is psyched. My wife hopes Alberta. I get it again. Yeah,
that's Alberta for you. We get everything the opposite.
My wife is psyched, he says.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just the irony, and don't get me wrong. Like, I want to take my mask off just like everybody else. I hate the masks. I wear glasses normally, so they're fogged up all the time.
Yeah,
and whatever. But I can't deny the fact that we went 5, maybe 6 months with kids wearing masks in schools and no problems. We dodged every bullet. 4 days after he takes them out of schools, boom. COVID's in our house.
We did a Twitter poll on the locker room yesterday where we talked about, are you going to stop wearing a mask tomorrow? And that's significant in Edmonton because the city of Edmonton city councilors, they're here to protect us all. They're going against the Alberta mandates, and they have they've kept the mask rule in place. There's a review underway right now because everyone's flipping out. And my thing is, listen, let's just take away from the conversation that masks work or don't work. Okay? Let's just take that out of it because that'll bog the conversation down. And then let's focus right on the fact that one level of government is doing one thing, and then another level of government just goes, no, fuck you, I'm doing this. So now in Alberta, now let's also take out whether it's right or wrong, okay? Whether or not it was the right decision. Everyone's going to have an opinion, right? Which we're all allowed to have an opinion. And let's take that out of the equation. We're still dealing with 2 different levels of government doing 2 different things. And how the fuck are they going to enforce it? So now the entire province, if I go to St. Albert and I have to buy an emergency bridge pack to get me to the weekend.
Can you stop calling those emergency bridge packs? They're just bridge packs at this point.
They're emergency bridge packs. And then I have to go into the liquor store. Let's say I'm worried that they're sold out in St. Albert. I got to stop in Edmonton. I have to wear a fucking mask into the liquor store in Edmonton. And I'm not complaining. I'll do it. But the problem I have is that, and this is driving me absolutely insane.
So can I ask a question real quick? Because I think you're touching on something, and I'm trying to put it together in my head what you're talking about. Provincially, there are different rules than there are municipally. Like in Edmonton, they still have a mask mandate, but across the province, they don't.
Fucking idiots in the city council voted on the weekend and kept it for Edmonton. But there's no plan to enforce it. Like, no one's going to listen to it. Like, it's so the problem I have with it is, and I'll probably continue to wear the mask. It's not about whether or not I'm going to wear the fucking mask or not. It's about these idiots getting on the same page. And I'm so angry about this because this city council does shit like this all the time. They think that they're saving the fucking planet. They're trying to justify their positions. And all they are doing is just causing more division and more, like, there is a level of hatred for politicians, right? I honestly, if a politician, I don't even care what party they are representing, if they come to my door, I may fist fight them. Like, I am at that point right now. There may be violence if I get a visit from a politician.
Like if someone knocks on your door from the
and goes, I'm
UCP party
thinking
and it's
I'm
like, hey,
running. I'm
if they
going to jump
love your
out of my
support.
house
Yeah.
and attack them.
Yeah.
Like, that's how angry I am right now with politics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, don't come to my door.
No, it's a bad idea because he will. I know he will. I've seen his frustration. But let's talk about that for a second because, like, fuck municipal politics, fuck provincial, fuck federal, fuck politicians, just for the sake of the conversation. Are you comfortable, Scott, at Scott Trades, financial crypto wizard, financial educator, host of an upcoming podcast called Hot Wallet? There it is. Are you comfortable with dropping mandates and mask restrictions and all the other restrictions? And then we'll go to Locke, and then I'll chime in too. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it because that's the question you have to ask yourself. It's about you, right? It's not about what people are telling you to do. It's about what you're going to do for your family.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation, right? Like if I'm going to Costco's a big enough store. I'm usually not super close to people anyways. So in that situation, if my glasses keep fogging up and I get annoyed, maybe I'll not wear a mask or take it off if I come in with one. Yeah. So and then it depends, how close am I going to be to people. So I think it depends on the situation.
But are you comfortable with the idea that anybody can go into the same Montanas that you're going to go into on 2-for-1 ribs night?
Honestly, Dean, I've done everything that I can to protect myself from the worst outcome of COVID-19.
Right.
Being vaccinated, wearing a mask, when I'm close to people or whatever. And so, I think, again, I think it depends on the situation. But if I'm in a restaurant, we went out for my birthday this past weekend, went out for dinner. And I was kind of annoyed because we sit down at the table, we take off our mask to eat, but then I got to put it on to walk by a bunch of empty tables to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so that to me felt like, do I need to wear it? So again, I think it depends on the situation. I want to take it off. I want open for spring. But I also want to keep my distance from people, just generally because I don't want to get sick and I don't want to get someone else sick if I have something.
I'm quite comfortable with the restrictions coming down based on where we're at, if I'm being honest. But I think the conversation we need to have is not about whether or not individuals are comfortable. I think it's about the difference of the level of comfort within the community. And I think that's how officials should be approaching this now. Rather than going, fuck, Kenny doesn't have an idea. We're in Edmonton. We're smarter than Kenny. We're going to make the mask. No, what they should have done and what Kenny should have done was he should have said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the option as individuals to decide whether or not to wear the mask. And in a roundabout the way they kind of did. But it was a weak attempt at it. And then, you know what? Then promote, listen, if Locke goes into Costco and he's wearing a mask, that's his right. Okay? If Scott goes into Costco and doesn't wear a mask, that's his right. Everyone needs to figure out how to coexist past this point. Right. And put the pressure on the individuals. The problem is that government, they're always trying to, like I said, they're always trying to justify their existence. They're trying to prove that they know better than everybody else. And they make the unintended consequences of some of their decisions have just been disastrous over the last 2 years. And it's amazing to me that they can't figure this out. Like, they're doing so much damage to their to being able to enforce anything down the road. I mean, anything.
Yeah, I know, but are you uncomfortable, personally uncomfortable? Because I know you're scared of the dick stuff.
I'm going to wear a mask.
You're going to wear a mask anywhere you go, anytime you go somewhere, go into the liquor store. Let's say you go into the liquor store in St. Albert. They don't have mask mandates there anymore. Will you continue to wear a mask regardless?
I went into a store today because I had to mail something for my wife. I went into a Shoppers Drug Mart. And there was people in the Shoppers Drug Mart in St. Albert that didn't have a mask on, and there were people that had masks on. Mm-hmm. And I wore a mask in. I've already decided that even though it's been dropped provincially and not in Edmonton, I'm going to continue to wear a mask. And again, the other reason why I've thought that is because I have been, outside of that one flu that I had, I've gone 2 years with no illness. And listen, I realize that a lot of it probably has to do with the fact that largely it probably has to do with the fact that I have isolated myself from a majority of people, and we all have. So there's that separation, and there's not as many viruses being passed around. But I think it also, the mask plays a small part in it. I think the mask is not going to save my life from COVID. I always said this from the get-go.
Just that extra layer of protection that you feel comfortable with going into a store, because like in Ontario, they had 5,800 cases yesterday and they've stopped testing. So the numbers, according to Immigrant, who's going to be on with us on Thursday, is probably closer to like 10,000. But a lot of people are living in really no significant illness. And I think that that's the separator for me, right? Like in my mind,
that's
when I hear about the mandates coming down, I'm skittish. I know that the metrics they used to bring the mandates down had nothing to do with science, had everything to do with economy. I get that. I'm not that unhappy about it, to be honest with you, because it's not really going to change how I feel, because I'm still going to wear a mask when I go into certain businesses. I'm still going to wear a mask when I go into buildings. I went to a movie theater this last week and watched Spider-Man No Way Home, which, by the way, was fucking unbelievable. If you get a chance to, didn't wear a mask the entire time. Didn't put it on just because I was in the back and there was like 6 people in the theater, and I'm like, we're 30 feet away from everybody. It doesn't bother me. I'm not that worried about it. And again, I go back to the same thing, is that what was true yesterday might not be true today, right? Like, we all know that. We all know that what was true yesterday might not be true today. So I do feel differently about it, but it's still something that I feel like I have to do on my own. And I'm still going to go to restaurants. And and this is the thing, I wrote a piece about this today, is that I think a lot of people have an opportunity to just be assholes now. You know what I mean? Whether you're the asshole anti-vaxxer or the asshole ultra-vaxxer. You know, those people that want to like wrap everybody in bubble wrap, and they want to prevent everybody from actually enjoying their lives, and they think that the world is ending, like all that shit. I hate those people too. And I think that there's a common ground here, and that's that, hey, listen, as Scott said, we're triple vaccinated, some of us more. I've had COVID, Scott's had COVID. You haven't had COVID yet, Locke, and God forbid you do, because you know what it'll attack first?
My dick. I'm going to be the guy that gets all the dick stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The size
smaller,
reduction
no
doesn't
boners
work anymore.
Yeah, all of it. You're going to get it.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people out there that are still a little worried, a little scared, a little frustrated. However, I can tell you this, is that it doesn't really matter. Like, it's not the fact that the restrictions are coming down and the mandates are coming down. It's the fact that we still have to live around angry people. That's what's going to bother me, is like, I'm waiting for the time when I go into a Shoppers and some guy acts like a complete fucking knob. And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to stroke him right now, because I've just had enough of that behavior. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and Grant brought up something interesting. I shouldn't do this to him. Grant didn't bring this up. A friend of mine brought this up. He said, this friend of mine, not my coworker, said that part of me doesn't want to be associated with the group that wouldn't wear a mask now. Which is fair, is why he's going to continue to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's a lot of shit in this discussion.
Sorry.
What's so funny?
The tweet mask that someone said that we're wearing a tweet mask right now.
Oh, is it? Are we still have the tweet up?
Yeah.
How's that? Is it gone now?
Hey, there we go. Now,
good.
Now there's a new one up.
Now there's a
new one. There's a new one. How's that?
There we go. Perfect. Yeah, it's good now. I just thought
we win.
The tweet mask was a funny one. So good one there, guys.
Anyway,
you
sorry.
were telling me. Sorry, they were telling me in the thing. They're like, "There's a tweet still on the screen." I'm like, "No, there isn't. It's on your end. It's just not on my end." But apparently, it was still up. So I apologize for that.
That's
tweet
why I
being
went
up
in and
almost.
out, because I thought it was me.
It's me.
So anyway, here's the thing about the about I think the biggest issue societally right now is there's a lot of stigma, and I don't know who we blame this for, about whether you wear a mask or whether you don't wear a mask. And there's a lot of people that are going to struggle with this based on how they want to be viewed. And I think that's a bigger problem, right? And I don't even know where to start with trying to fix that. Like James, my other co-host, I can throw him under the bus. I usually do anyway. He is so worried about how, and this is, listen, I'm not judging him. This is his wiring. He is so worried about what other people think of him that he's going to base all of his decisions on whether to wear a mask or not based on what he thinks other people are saying, right? Or how they feel.
Not his own personal safety, just others' perception. That's a solid plan.
That will command. But Dean, if people are being honest with themselves, I bet you there's a big chunk of the population that are going to be fucking motivated exactly by that. That they're going to make a decision, and it's just the way we are. A lot of people are like this. They're not as much concerned about COVID or safety or others as they are about whether or not somebody thinks one way or the other of me. That's going to be the biggest fucking issue. And you and
that is fucking unbelievable to me,
Dean. You and I are amazed by this. It's taken me 50 years to learn that's how most people are wired. Because I don't give a fuck what people think. No. I make decisions based on my personal views. Yeah. I don't fucking care what Scott thinks. I do. I like you, Scott. And I do care what you think, because I need to say that out loud, because it's the societal thing but I honestly don't. If you don't think if you think I should or shouldn't wear a mask, that does not influence my decision to put a mask on.
No. And I think that's fine, Locke, for someone who is your age and someone who is at your level of wokeness and stuff. But you think about kids and people who live on Facebook, live on social media, looking for people to like what they're doing, like their pictures, comment, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So those are the type of people who can be easily moved, easily influences. And a lot of those people are young people. And so if they see all of their friends not wearing masks, then they're not going to want to wear one. And that's why my son didn't wear a mask in school and came home with COVID. He saw all his buddies not wearing one. And it didn't matter what we said. It didn't matter that we said, wear it if you can. Do your best, wear it if you can, is what we said. Because we want to, we want him to feel like he wants to make his own decision, but knows what's best. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're empowering him. I mean, there's a family thing here that a lot of people have to pay attention to. The thing that'll drive 85 to 90% of us crazy are tweets like this from Derek Fildebrandt, who writes for Western Standard, which is a neocon digital shit rag full of digital shit raggers. He's like, I walked into a downtown Calgary coffee shop today, maskless. Several people looked at me, tore off their masks, and smiled. Yeah, that never happened.
They didn't. Derek. That did not happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen. You dumb fuck.
They probably had them off already. They were drinking coffee.
Yeah, that guy did. He desperately wants to be a leader. He's trying to get into politics, and
this. This guy. Piece of shit, Derek Fildebrandt.
Yeah.
What a dumb fucking lie to put on your tweet. Like, this is the stuff that drives people crazy, right? It's like, everybody cheered. That's a lie. Everybody on that side of the fucking equation just lies their dicks off. That's how they got through the last 2 years. And now they're piggybacking off of everybody else's effort and sacrifice, right?
Issues with him too. Like, you get paid for a residence in Edmonton if you're a member of parliament, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a place to stay when you come up if there's any sessions. So he's from Calgary, he's an MP or whatever. So he would come up to Edmonton. So he was Airbnb-ing his apartment and making money off of it. Now, I'm guessing that they all do it, but he got caught. And then there was some poaching thing with him people might have more information. Like he shot somebody. Like
that's fuck Derek Hildebrand. He's a government guy. I thought he was just a shitty writer.
Not anymore.
For
they ran him out. He was in
news rag.
He was on the UPC side, and then I think he tried to start his own party.
Full of beardos.
It was a fairly right-winged approach, like a heavy conservative
Honky
approach, and shit. I can't remember the name of it. I don't think he was Wexit. Do you remember him, Scott? He's in Calgary. He's close to you.
The name looks familiar.
Remember the poaching thing? He dropped a deer, like, from his deck in his underwear or something and got caught or something. Fuck, I don't know.
Anyway,
there's so
off
much,
season. It was off season.
Yeah, right? Dude, that happens like every 2 seconds in Alberta, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just hang a fucking rifle out the bathroom window while you're taking a dump because you see a doe behind the house.
Sarah, there's a moose in the backyard eating the carrots. Get the crossbow.
But can I say this? This might surprise people. I'm kind of ready for it. I've already bagged and tagged every single person, and I say this all the time. I've shortened the friends and family bench effectively over the past 2 years. And so to me, now when I see people walking around out there that don't have a mask on, I'm like, I got you, right? Because I'm still going to wear mine for a while. I'm not going to go into businesses that don't check. I will not shop or eat in a restaurant where they're like, everyone's welcome, because I know you. I know what your intentions are. Just because we can doesn't mean you should, and you're going to do it in the face of fucking absolute silliness. But I'm kind of ready for it. Like, I'm with Scott. Like, I've had 3 fucking full-on vaccines. Like, I've had the COVID. I've dealt with it. It's never bothered me either way, like whether or not I'm vaccinated or someone else isn't. I go back to the same thing. It's the shit disturbers. Like, I try to siphon out all the other cocks. And I go right into the 1 and 1A. And the 1A is the guy that went to Ottawa. The 1A is the person that's still shit posting. Like, I'm on this list along with thousands of other people who believe that it's really important for people to be vaccinated. And so we continued to share that information, and we believed in vaccine mandates during the absolute heat of the pandemic when we were just starting to vaccinate people and Delta was killing neighbors. So they made a list called cowards. I made it. I didn't even know that. This is for people to come back to, and it's not just me on it. Like, fucking, there are doctors on it, lawyers on it, CEOs, Caroline Mulrooney's on it, everybody's on it. These are like people that want to tag responsible Canadians and try to fucking make their lives worse somehow. I've never heard of this until today, so it's apparently been up for about a year. And these are the people that I want to get. Not get like understand, get. And my trolling days just started. I am fully planning on continuing to shine light in really dark corners with these people, because these people are the people I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the person was like too scared, sorry I didn't get vaccinated, are bad, but I hid out all week and don't believe in vaccines or mandates. I have friends like that. We have people here that work like that, but their explanations are fucking normal, and I get it. And they never went out of their way to treat people like shit, which is really what I focus my laser-focused attention on in this whole thing. It's got nothing to do with vaccine mandates coming down. It's got nothing to do with restrictions coming down. I'm okay with it because it is not going to change how I operate in the best interest of myself, vulnerable Canadians, and my family. It just won't. But I'll tell you something. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get all of them. And it's my fucking masturbatory pleasure. Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think you make a great point because, just because someone doesn't get a vaccine, there's a lot of reasons why people don't get vaccines. There's, just the scared hesitancy. Some people are immunocompromised already and they can't get a vaccine. I have a few friends like that, and they're like, yeah, look, I couldn't get it because I got this blood thing, and they said it's not good for me. And I'm like, great, okay, well, I don't care either way. And so I think it does come back down to just that personal responsibility. Are you doing everything you can to protect yourself, your family, and the people around you?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good mindset to be, because in all honesty, that's the only thing that's really kept me sane throughout this whole mess.
Yeah. What I've really tried to do through this whole thing, and I'm not selling you down the river here, Dean. I'll try to explain you in a minute, because
you can. I don't care.
You've kind of fascinated me through this whole thing, on your stance with this. I've really tried to, and this is unlike me, because I tend to pick a side and then hang on to it and let everybody know, and have no problems letting everybody know what my side is. I'm not shy of people hearing my opinion. But what I've really tried to do through this whole thing is, and I've failed at times, I've slipped up. I've tried to remove judgment from it, because there was a point where I realized there is just a certain faction of the population that is just not going to buy into this for whatever reason. And I'm not talking about the people that legitimately can't get the vaccine, Scott. I'm talking about people that are like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do. Because I'm wired like that.
Cowards, you mean?
See, and that's what I've tried to do. I have tried to not
name call,
not attack them. And what I think has happened is that group, they dug in.
What show was that?
At the beginning of it.
What show is that you weren't attacking those guys?
Listen, I've tried. I've said I've failed many times.
I missed that part. Sorry. I've tried and succeeded with the same result.
Okay, but listen, I've really tried to be that person. I have,
yeah, you have.
And it's been difficult, because what ended up happening as we progressed was the two sides were coming at each other. And then I started to really struggle with my part in it. And I was like, why can't I escape this? What am I doing that's bringing this on? Am I part of the problem or the solution here? And so I've been really focusing on my involvement in this whole thing, and how how I can actually make a difference, if that is at all possible. Dean took it head on and said, all right, if you guys want to play in this sound box, I'm up for it. And you've been going hard after them. And I don't know whether or not my approach or your approach, I don't know what was more effective, Dean. I don't. And
I would say yours. I would have to care.
But is it though?
And I don't. Yeah, well, it is and it isn't, because what it does is you've insulated yourself from a lot of different hate groups and, Twitter lists that you won't make it onto, and you're not going to get people white supremacists coming after you and temper tantrum losers. But I always come back to this one thing. If you were one of those people that spent the last 2 years hurting others so that you could continue to be a fucking coward, you have no place in my life or my day or my world, and I'll never give that up. I will never not feel this way. I will never not look at individual human beings who chose to hurt other people in the most hurtful time in our existence, while everybody was trying to just get through it. I will never, ever forgive that group. And I've got family that forgive is a bad word. I'll never mix with them. I will always think of them as not important, not useful to society, freeloaders, losers, cowards. And the funny part is the projection of this group where they come after you. There's a dude that works at Owner's Box. We did a little business with him, little fantasy app operation. Nice. The guys that started it are friends of mine. Anyway, this dude's family's named Sandy, bought him part of the company because they're rich Americans. And he's like, I want to get into sports betting and I want to be Dave Portnoy. So he's saying, this guy is shit all over Canada, shit all over and he came after me today about calling Canada the Florida. Hey, welcome to Florida. Because Doug Ford's like, we're dropping all the mandates. I'm like, welcome to Florida. And he's like, fuck, long story short, doesn't even matter. But he's one of those guys that didn't give a fuck about anybody else other than himself during this entire time. And so it's easy for me to pick those guys off. It's easy for me to not give a fuck about those guys. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. Quite frankly, it's easy for me to let go of different people that acted like a complete asshole and hurt other individuals over the past couple of years because I don't want fucking anything to do with them. And when it comes to wearing masks, it's a badge of honor that I'll continue to wear to shit tell everybody. I don't give two fucks what you think. And I certainly don't care what someone thinks who's too scared to get a fucking needle and too soft to wear a mask. That's just soft. Like, we went and got it. We went and did it. We put ourselves in harm's way. Those guys didn't, because that's the softest shit on the fucking planet. So you can continue to be nice to all of those people. I'm not, because they're persona non grata to me.
It wasn't about nice, Dean. It wasn't about
or
nice.
You cannot.
That's the wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize.
I was trying not to cause more stress in my life,
right,
by going after them, because I knew I wasn't going to have an impact on the way they had already made up their minds. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Like, I think Scott, I mean, do you have a family?
It would be smarter for me to feel that way and not voice my opinion. It'd be much smarter for me to do that, but I don't have that.
Honestly, Dean, it would just be less stressful if if someone comes at you, block.
Oh, I did
a lot of blocking.
And that's how I've made it through. Where we have people, friends, family, and I'm like, wow, you know what? You were perfect for a certain time in my life, and now I've moved on to a point where you're not good for my life anymore. So you know what? Thanks for that. Unfriend, and we'll see you later.
Scott,
and then I make room for other people in my life. And so, Dean, I think it's healthy for you to want to move on and want to be like, you know what? These people, not for me anymore. And again, that makes room for other people.
Absolutely.
But what I think you need to do, Dean, it's time for Dr. Locke to
here we go.
Fucking open up the fucking book. Lie down. I think you need to start trying to evaluate what it is about your personality and why you need to do this, because that's what I've noticed. It wasn't whether or not, it wasn't what that you were doing it. To me, the difference was that next level that you've represented of the people that I know that have like been in the fucking trenches.
Can I show you why?
Time.
Can I show you why?
Yeah.
I won't do that because of this. This is a freedom rally planned across the Trans-Canada Highway. Mask mandates gone, restrictions gone, vaccine passport mandates gone, that they're planning to hold hands across the country to continue to protest the freedoms that we already don't have, which they have back. And so this has nothing to do with mandates. This has nothing to do with restrictions. This has to do with a certain group of people who are just cunts. And it's my pleasure.
No, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't care.
There's something about your wiring.
Yeah.
That I think
and it's never been like, I've never been like this. Like, normally what I would do is I would kind of go, let's move on to a different subject topic. Yeah. Let's not take that same tack. And I wrote a really well thought out piece today, basically saying, hey, listen, like it or lump it, we're here, and don't be a dick to other people unless they're dicks to you. Yeah. So like, a lot of people are like, hey, if I'm just quiet and if I don't say anything, if I let those people continue to abuse me online, if I let those people continue to get in my gear, then they'll just stop. They haven't stopped for 2 fucking years. So I look at it like a game now. It's a game to me. It doesn't hurt me, doesn't upset me, doesn't add to my level of stress. I pick and choose the people whose lives I want to ruin. And it's my fucking favorite thing to do. It is.
As long as it makes you happy, Dean.
Well, that's all I care about. People. If they were good people, I'd be like, no, because I've got one MO, and that's this right here. Help
think
others.
Think about all the time they're wasting, though. Let them waste their time. That's fine.
But to me, Scott, that's my big thing. That's my big thing. Like, I don't have time in my day. Like, and I've gone through all the ebbs and flows of this, right? Like, I spent a day fighting with people about whatever it was, and then I'd like feel guilty about fighting with people, and then I'd feel guilty about not fighting with people and not using the voice that I have And am I being weak because I don't want to deal with the shit online? And then I was blocking people, and then I unblocked everybody, and then they came at me again, and I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm going to block so I've been going like I have been.
You're on a block fucking
Dean
festival.
Is just cruised through this at the same tilt.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
10
fuck
out of
you,
10.
Fuck you. Yeah.
I called like 4 people meat today because that's all they are to me is meat. Like anybody that shows up on my Twitter feed to tell me I'm an idiot for wanting other people to be well, meat. They're useless to society. So why the fuck would you bother? Like, no, I'm serious. They're just bags of skin. Like that's all they are to me. I have no desire to fucking interact with any of those people. And you know what? Blocking people doesn't do anything. I blocked, like, if you're a brand new asshole to Twitter, I'll for sure block you. If it says 2022, 2021, absolutely. Our socials team has absolute full reign. They can get rid of anybody at any point in time they want because I only dip in and out of social media now, right? Like I've got that luxury of being able to say, oh, or when like one of our guys wants to fire me up, they'll send me a DM and like, have you seen this? And I'm like, oh, now I got to write a post. Here we go. But I think it's my job to insert common sense into certain conversations. Absolutely. And I feel better when I do it. Like I can be finished an entire day of trolling complete fucking racist white supremacist lunatics,
religious,
and when religious white supremacist lunatics and white supremacists and racists and assholes and white privilege hawks, I at the end of that day, if I choose to get into the gutter and duke it out with them, I feel fucking great.
But hold on,
I do.
Let me ask you a question, and I want you to think about this. Don't just spit out an answer. Do you think you're having an impact on any of these people?
No, but I can see a whole bunch of other people not so scared anymore to take them on. And that's important to me. You know how many people left social media because these assholes ran them off social media for trying to do the right thing? I don't care. Yeah. I make it easier for people to fucking be stronger. And I like that. I don't like there's 90% of us are fucking vaccinated. Someone's got to speak to them instead of catering to the 10 fucking percent.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's very fair. And I think that 10% and it's not just this situation, but that loud group has learned that the louder they are, the bigger they sound. And sometimes that does dictate policy. Right? Like I've spent years fighting with the bike lane gang in Edmonton, the people that are like pro bike lanes. And
I would never fight that fight. I would never fight that fight.
Oh, I did. This is why I'm surprised at where I'm
funicular.
Sitting right now, Dean.
Yeah.
And where you're sitting, and I'm sitting here trying to like talk to you about, do you really think you're having an impact? Because I would literally spend a whole weekend. I'd make coffee, come downstairs on Saturday morning, and then open up Twitter and spend the whole weekend fighting with people that are pro bike lane.
That's a terrible idea. That's
Dean, not 2 hours. I'm not exaggerating. I would fight with them until I went to bed on Sunday night.
I would never do that because it doesn't. That's an issue that no one cares about. Being kind to others, not getting in your way, preventing people from getting to their fucking chemo appointments because you're protesting at a hospital. Let's have some long-term memory when it comes to this stuff, people. Like you know, I'm not giving anybody a pass. Any one of those people that were involved in making the world a worse place and hurting others, fuck you. I am still here. And it is a fucking game. It's like Yahtzee to me when I get you. Yahtzee. And it's fun. And we have a whole crew of people now that are like minted to do the same thing. Several of us.
I have noticed that you have. It's funny you mentioned the empowering thing because I've noticed in the last year especially, there's a group of people that are involved in the Dean Blundell Podcast Network, and they're all like Dean now, and they all go 100% after all these guys, and they're all like,
"Oh, Lindley's the best. He just gives fewer fucks than us."
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I feel, and I think it's important to do nice things, from nice things to bad things, and things we try to fucking make sense out of.
I think what we're witnessing is a huge mental health crisis across the country. On both sides, from everyone. You know, we're all just trying to figure it out. We're all just trying to wrap our heads around what the last 2 years meant, what we've lost, what we've gained, and the world that's in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has their own way of handling it. Dean, you got your way. I'm not ready to finish. I'm not done with this fight. And then you got Locke over there. He's like, you know what? I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
And so I think you just have to realize where you're at.
Something that I'm not, like, it's not a muscle I've
exercised
in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be introspective.
Restraint?
Yes, I desperately have been. Can I do this again? I've done this before. So I think that we can solve all the world's problems, every problem on the planet, including the war in Russia, if we all work on three things. And this is all individually. 1, figure out who you are. 2, get comfortable with who you are. And 3, stop fucking worrying about what other people are doing. The judgment piece, I think, is killing us all. And that's where I'm trying to live right now. And I've had a lot of people in my life that have gotten me to that realization, that this 3-step plan. And people go, are you sure that that the environment isn't a bigger issue than no? I swear to God, I will say this until the day I die. The biggest issue we have on the planet right now is judgment. And I think we're all at different stages of this sort of 3-pronged plan that I have. I'm pretty good at number 1. Like I have a really good sense of who I am, but I'm still working on figuring that guy out. The second part, and this is something that I'm getting better at, and I don't know if I'm very good at, is am I comfortable with who that guy is? I know who he is now. Am I comfortable with who that fucking guy is? And then that judgment piece is a real struggle for me. It's a daily thing, and I have to remind myself that that's where I want to be in this life that we're living right now. I want to be that guy that doesn't judge somebody when I'm at Shoppers that's in front of me without the mask.
Yeah.
And it's a real struggle.
It's a wonderful way to want to be. Like, it's almost like you're describing being bulletproof, right? Like emotionally bulletproof. There's no emotion in this for me. Like, I think that where a lot of people get caught up in dealing with all this stuff is that they become emotional or scared. I'm not scared, nor am I emotional about any of this. Like, none of it. To me, I know exactly what I am. I know exactly where I am. Yeah, I don't
even
get
show
upset
anger really. Yeah,
no.
like you show enthusiasm, but not anger. Like,
because anger is a zero-sum effort. You will know that. You know that, Scott, right? You're a trader. You're an investor. We're going to get to some financial information eventually on this show.
Yeah, he's like, why am I here?
Yeah, fuck, dude, it doesn't.
Oh, this is fun. I'm having a great time, guys.
Oh yeah, you look like it.
No, this is good. No. I thought, honestly, Dean, I think that's the healthy way to do it. As long as it doesn't take anything away from you. Nothing. And that's something that I have to deal with as an investor, someone who's active in the market all the time, is I can get emotionally involved in an investment. I'm putting some money to work. I'm putting my idea to work. And if the market doesn't affirm that idea, by maybe something going down or something going up right away when I think it should, you can get emotionally attached to that and take it personally. So as long as you are in a place where you're like, you know what, this is fun for me and it doesn't affect the way I sleep and I can close my eyes at the end of the day and feel good, cool. Then I think you're in a good place with it. But as soon as it starts to take away from the way you feel, your family, your mental well-being, then that's when you got to step back. And to Locke's point, just say, you know what? I don't need to spend all Sunday long talking about bike lanes. Yeah. You know what I should do? I should actually just go to City Hall and deal with it the right way.
Yeah. I should just go.
I was fighting with the city councilors too. Like, I dragged them in as well.
I was tweeting at them as well.
Can I ask you something? Because we're talking about things you can and can't control, right? Like, there's no emotion for me. You're an investor. You're talking about, putting your personal energy, your personal money into portfolios, right? Scott, by the way, at Scott Trades, he's a financial educator. He's an investor, and he helps people with their portfolios. So he's got an entire business. He's got a brand new podcast called Hot Wallet. We're excited to be involved with him on that as well. And we're really excited for him to be able to kind of share with us some information today. So I want to get to a couple of things. Of course, Russia, we all know what's going on over there. I think this is day 7, going into day 7 over there. They bombed the TV towers. Russian troops are apparently out of money, out of food, and they're leaving in droves. One of the great things that Zelensky did, he put on a broadcast speaker and he put it out to everybody. He put it on Tinder that if you're a Russian soldier, we'll give you 60 grand and help you start a brand new life if you come over and fight with us. And they are coming in droves, like in fucking droves.
Are you kidding me?
No, 5 million rubles they offered, which is the equivalent yesterday of 60 grand, but it ain't today. And that's when the offer was made, because this is the ruble today. Holy fuck. What is this? What's the ruble going to do? Doesn't look great.
Yeah, it definitely lost a lot of its value over the last couple of days here. And as you can see, it was already kind of on the downswing, and then it was just the momentum of this war coming in, and everyone wanting to get out of the ruble. And
where's it going?
That's scary. Well, I think all currencies are debased and will be debased. And so what's going to happen probably out of Russia is the central bank is just going to print more. They're going to print more rubles to help support everything. They've already doubled interest rates. So if you think interest rates here in Canada are bad, interest rates in Russia are upwards of 26%.
Wow. Holy fuck.
It's pretty. Imagine trying to get a mortgage when rates are that high. So it's a bad situation. I feel bad for the people of Russia, for the everyday Joe who's just trying to get by, who now, their dollars are worth half as much as they were. And they can't use their Visa card, and they can't use their MasterCard, and Apple Pay doesn't work. I feel bad for those people.
So Visa and MasterCard they're not doing any, take me through the list of economic troubles that are being visited on the Russian people because of these sanctions that you think are the most troublesome.
All Western-based credit, no? Right, Scott?
That's right, yeah. Amex, exactly. Yeah. Right? All of the major credit card companies, Apple Pay, Google Pay. I saw big lineups yesterday, not only at bank machines, because people are trying to get their money out of the bank. Because as you have talked to Greg Foss, banks only have a certain amount of money that's actually in the bank. And once they run out of money, it's kind of gone. And what has to happen is the central bank has to then reprint that money and give it back to the banks. And so you saw big lineups yesterday at banks around Russia of people trying to go to bank machines and take out as much as they could.
Yeah.
And so those are major things that are affecting everyday people there, which is obviously terrible, but it is part of this big slew of economic sanctions that is hitting Russia. And so you're getting people talking about cutting Russia out of what's called a SWIFT system, which is like a bank money transfer type thing. If you've ever sent money from one
WhatsApp for bankers,
to
right? WhatsApp for bankers, where you can actually send money in WhatsApp for bankers. That's what SWIFT is. Yeah,
exactly, pretty much. So
what
so
is
all of these
of that, Scott? Like, why is that? Because everyone talked about that being such a pinnacle moment in the sanctions and the tariffs on Russia, and such a groundbreaking thing. I didn't quite understand. I understand that it cut them off again, another sort of arm of the finance, but I didn't understand why everyone was touting it as one of the more significant things that we could have done.
Well, you think about how wars are fought. Wars are fought with money. They need money for equipment, money to pay soldiers and stuff like that. And so if Russia, for example, they have been touting where they have somewhere in the realm of like over $600 billion that are held offshore. So outside of the country, they have $600 billion. And if they can't get access to that money lock, then that's trouble for them. They may not be able to fund the government, fund businesses, fund, the army and stuff like that. So cutting that off, which is something that has never been done before, as far as I know, is a big deal. Because if the Russian central bank has a bunch of stuff that's in Japan, which I believe they do, and Japan says, yeah, we're not going to let you have that, then they are out of luck.
Broke.
They can't have that money. And so by cutting them off, and then ultimately seeing the central bank or seeing the ruble drop like that, so they can't get their dollars, and then they have all of the value of their dollars drop significantly. and stuff. So that is a big deal. And so I saw screenshots of Vladimir Putin. And so in trading, not every trader has this, but they have what's called a Bloomberg terminal, which is like a high-end computer. You can basically look up charts on everything. They cost about $30,000 a year just for you to have one of these computers. Well, Vladimir Putin has one. He logged into Bloomberg, and you could see his like little active thing. And I saw a screenshot there where he logged in to see the open of the markets on Monday, to see everything kind of crash down in terms of the currency.
You can see like when he's actively on that terminal, it's like, hey, Vladimir Putin is now surfing the terminal. Have a look.
That's like Find My Friends for finance.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. And so what you saw was, obviously the currency and Forex markets run at certain hours. And so they saw the ruble crash down. And so what they ended up doing is actually not opening up the stock market on Monday. And I don't believe it was open again today.
No, it wasn't. But what does that mean? Like the fact that they haven't, because the only thing I can hold that up against is 9/11 when they shut the stock market down in North America for, I think, a day or two. I can't remember how long it was, but they shut it down for a short period of time to protect, everybody's investments and protect, to kind of put a break in the market, right? Like just stop. Everybody stop, because there's no way we can figure out what's worth what, who was affected, all that other stuff. So what does that mean in Russia?
Well, I mean, that means that no one can raise cash. If you are heavily invested in Russia, if you're a Russian citizen, you have a lot of your money in the stock market, you cannot sell. And so if the value of your bank account all of a sudden gets cut in half, and you need to raise cash to buy normal things, then you can't, because the stock market is closed. Now, what the central bank in Russia did say that they're going to do is they were going to buy gold. And so they're going to use their U.S. reserves to buy gold. They're going to use the ruble to buy gold. And so that's how they are trying to kind of get around some of these sanctions right now. But for the, like I said, for the regular everyday Russian, I think it ends up being pretty brutal.
That's why gold went up so fast, right?
That's right. Yeah. And so I was actually invested in gold the last couple of weeks here. And, Dean and I were talking kind of beforehand. And he's like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about being invested and essentially profiting off of what is happening right now? And I didn't know that Russia was going to invade. I don't know that anyone did. And so it was just that I happened to be heavily invested in gold and gold stocks, gold mining stocks and stuff like that. And then it went up. And so I ended up making money, in my trading during that. But it definitely is a weird.
That's what you do, Scott. I mean, you can't feel guilty for that, right?
Yeah, but it probably that's why I wanted to know when I asked him. I was like, "Hey, can you give me a quick call?" And he called me. I'm like, "Listen, how do you justify that?" Because I get it; it's his job, and what he does is reads things. He's not necessarily, he doesn't have his face in international news looking to see where he can take advantage. Right? Like it's very different. I
mean, to some extent, I do pay attention, obviously, to the macroeconomic picture and the geopolitical picture, and so I knew about geopolitical uncertainty and talked with members of the website that I work with about that, just saying, hey, these are going on. Here's some ways that we can play it, and it just happened that gold had been setting up for, in a nice chart pattern. You can see behind me, I got charts behind me. And so that's how I invest. I invest basically on the chart. And so when things started getting a little heated, we saw people start to kind of sell off a lot of those high beta tech stocks like Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, and start to kind of put them in a safer haven. And typically gold can be labeled as a safe haven asset. And at least the boomers like to call gold a safe haven asset. And so, I just followed the price action, followed the chart action, and ended up making money off of that. And then I sold it. And then I ended up buying it back today, just in a different way. So, but again, that's my job. Like I'm in the market every day. Yeah. And so there's some people who are, I see someone saying blood money, and it's hard to think about that because all I look at is just charts. And so like I did very well out of the coronavirus crash. When the market crashed, because of the coronavirus, it basically went up for 2 years straight. And so I profited greatly off of that in both crypto and in stocks and stuff. And so Am I wrong for doing that? No, I'm just there.
Yeah, you
in the
didn't
market.
support COVID. You're not
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
and that's the part I think a lot of financial people have are fighting today. I was talking with another friend of mine who's a VenCap guy, and he's like, "Oh, it's fucking brutal. Like, you know, not just the markets and the sanctions and all the bullshit that you got to go through and stuff like that, but just as a money guy, anytime someone hears that you may have had a positive day on the market during a time like this, everybody's like, fuck you." But the thing about Scott is this is interesting, is you turned around and you donated a bunch of that money to something that was very important.
Yeah, totally. So one thing that happened and has been happening over this crisis has been a definite use case for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And one great thing that the Ukrainians are doing are they are actually asking for donations via Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, and something called Tether, which is like a U.S. Stable coin.
Let me bring this in too. This is just a quick story. Crypto community rallies with Ukraine as Bitcoin donations come back alive. Kyiv-based foundation providing support to the Ukrainian army surpasses $4 million in the past 24 hours. Another story: crypto donations have poured in from the Ukrainian army, come back alive. A Ukrainian non-government organization says the crypto funds has received more than 400,000 worth of digital tokens. So to that point. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just meant to kind of give people some texture to what you were saying.
Oh, definitely. And so the number now is well over $20 million has been donated via cryptocurrency. And that's, again, through Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other tokens and stuff. And so, yeah, I felt, what can I do in my situation? I'm a normal person, just like everyone else. I just work in the market every day. And so what I did was just donate a couple $100 via Bitcoin to the Ukrainian government. And so that's one thing that I was able to do, and felt like, okay, this is my way to make an impact. And if the Red Cross gets in there and does some humanitarian work, then great. Then I can donate with that as well. But I think this is a pretty important moment for Bitcoin and for crypto in and of itself.
Why? Because I've heard that a bunch of times now, and Locke is into a little bit of crypto. I had a little spin in crypto before Christmas, enjoyed it, thought it was fun. But the volatility in crypto since this whole thing is down, and I mean, since Christmas time too, has just been up and down, and I was way down. It's coming up a little bit. But why is crypto at this crossroads right now? Because does it have something to do with the convoy and the insurrection? Does it have something to do with those groups of people who are super tied to crypto because of the government facet? Like, what is it about crypto that is at this big crossroads you talk about? Yeah.
Well, I think because it shows, especially, I mean, again, imagine you're a regular person in Russia who just worked their whole life, and now all of a sudden everything you worked for is worth half because of a government decision. And so the great thing about crypto is that no one entity controls it. Let's talk about Bitcoin, for example. No one entity controls the Bitcoin network. It is decentralized, and so no one controls it. And all that is in control is obviously, the price of the asset. And so I like to have a large percent of my money into an asset, into property that is not controlled by a central bank. The government can't decide to debase my Bitcoin at the drop of a hat because they want to fund something that they're doing. And we saw that coming out of the coronavirus crash, where everyone was getting these checks. In the US, they're getting all these checks. In Canada, they're getting all these checks. Well, where did that money come from? That money came from thin air. They just invented money. And now your money is worth less. And we're seeing that in inflation. That's one of the reasons why we have such high inflation, is because they invented so much more money out of thin air, and now our dollars are worth less. And so one of the ways that I look to protect my life energy, my dollars, is by investing into an asset like crypto or Bitcoin, for example, because it is scarce, it is decentralized, and I know that if I have a Bitcoin, it's always going to be worth whatever one Bitcoin is worth. And it's not like a dollar where, if you've seen one of those graphs where 100 years ago, a dollar was a dollar, and now a dollar is like 12 cents.
Yeah. Or if it's a ruble, it's like 0.0012 cents.
It's way worse. And so I'm not saying that, it's the end all be all. But for my type of investment and the things that I believe, I think that Bitcoin is the exit strategy.
Are you going to put a picture of yourself on your Twitter profile with the blazing eyes? Like all those other crypto bros do. No,
I don't think so.
Like a full body shot where the shots coming out of your dick.
Real eyes can see real eyes.
A lot of people that do that are strictly Bitcoin only. And while I do have a significant amount of Bitcoin, I also believe in other tokens as well. Ethereum, Polkadot, etc.
Ethereum is the one you like?
Yeah, I like Ethereum and Bitcoin and Polkadot and Algorand and Matic and I like a whole bunch of them right now. So someone's talking about NFTs in the chat. Yeah, I have a few NFTs as well. And so again, I think it's a moment for people to realize that wow, a central bank and a government can actually just take your money away.
Yeah, well we're seeing it like with what's going on with this invasion. Sorry, Locke.
Not even that, Scott. Outside governments are having an impact on the central banking system in Russia. They
totally
essentially our decision to support the Ukraine without getting in there militarily with sanctions has crippled them financially, and they in turn have shut down their markets. So crypto, that would never happen to crypto is the point you're making. Right?
That's right. Yeah, you can't. I mean, Bitcoin trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No one can shut down Bitcoin, and Bitcoin trading. And if you can't, and the great thing about crypto is you can move it around. So if I have it on, in a hot wallet, which is like a wallet that is active, I can buy and I can sell.
So hot.
I can move that to a different wallet and sell it somewhere else.
Is Shake Pay a hot wallet?
I'd call it a hot wallet. Yeah,
I got a hot wallet. I got a hot wallet right here.
I have.
That's why I named the podcast. That's why I named my upcoming podcast.
I know it's going to be the greatest crypto podcast on the planet. It's not just podcasts about crypto; it's about finances.
I have a question.
Scott's a good guy too.
So I have just a very little amount of money in here, and I've just been fucking with. Don't tell my wife, please. I have been fucking around with the Bitcoin. I don't have anything in Ethereum. What? Ethereum. I don't have anything in Ethereum right now. I just put everything that I had in there. I put in Bitcoin. And I only have those two in my wallet. Is there a way to add trade, or I would have to go to another hot wallet in order to trade, right?
You'd have to open up an account with a different exchange, something like Coinbase, or in Alberta, we can use Binance. And you can buy.
You sure it's not called fucking rates?
Fucking rates.
Fucking rates coins.
Got my hot wallet going.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. I'm learning a little bit about it. I still have fucking no idea what I'm doing, but yeah,
you're not alone.
Yeah, I mean, again, I look at it as an asset that has gone up 100% every year since it's been in existence, or more. And so, over time, you can look at the adoption curve. And if you think about cell phones and the internet and whatnot, and I don't want to go down too far down this rabbit hole, Dean, because I do want to focus more on what's happening with Russia and the Ukraine. But, if you look at the adoption curve for Bitcoin, it matches and exceeds that for cell phones, for the internet, et cetera, et cetera. So, that's a lot of stuff that people can look up online. Look up people like Plan B or Greg Foss or Michael Saylor is a big one if you want to do that research. But it's definitely something that I think everyone should have at least some allocation to. If you put 1% of your net worth in the Bitcoin, you're not going to, if it goes to zero, you're not going to lose it all. But if it goes up 100%, well, then actually it's made an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. It's I kind of understand for the first time in a long time, like what that energy play is that you talk about and that Greg Foss talked about when he was on the show. It's we work 8 hours a day. The second we get paid, it's worth 40% less.
Exactly. I mean, that's what money is. Money is your life energy. That's why you go to work every day. You go to work. Why? Right. So I can get this, so I can do something with it. Yep. It's not for right here, right now. It's for later. And so that's why I'm long-term on
between drinking.
Yeah.
Play around with your crypto.
Yeah.
Just go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was going to say, and you can start small. You don't have to put your life savings in. You can buy $25 worth of Bitcoin and just be like, cool, I'll just see what this does. And
I got
and
$1,000 in mine, and it's worth $1,400 right now.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
take it out.
That's pretty good, man.
You would dump? You would sell?
No, I wouldn't sell. I wouldn't sell.
Dude, I cashed in. I think I had 500 and I cashed in like 22 just before Christmas, and then put a whole bunch back in, and it fucking tanked right after Christmas. Yeah, so I'm just sitting here. But now it's at the point where everybody's like, buy the dip, bro. Buy the dip. I'm like, all right, I'll try and buy the dip. We'll see how it goes.
What's the dip? I don't know what that means.
When the price of Bitcoin goes down, right? It's when the share price of whatever it is you're buying and whatever platform you're buying dips. For some reason, like, I don't know, international skirmish. But I wonder, is this going
Crypto's not going down right now, though?
Well, I know it's not, but this is the thing, is that there's a need for it for a humanitarian effort, right? Like there's a need to get money to the Ukraine super fast. It's really easy. But on the other side of that, there's a dark component to it, like what we saw in Ottawa, right? So what happens, like, obviously everybody's hyper extended with Bitcoin and everybody wants to figure out fucking is this good or bad, because you can't track it in a lot of cases unless you have those addresses. But what do you think? I mean, because this is something that isn't regulated, and because it's not regulated, it's super easy to get people who need it money. It just is.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, that's the interesting thing about being the world's largest decentralized monetary network, is it's going to be used by people you don't like. Just like the internet. There's people I don't like who are on the internet. And so there are people who I may not agree with who may like Bitcoin and may use Bitcoin. And so I'm, but I don't care, again, because it's more about what I believe, what I want to use it for, and how I view the asset. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see people who, in the trucker rally and stuff like that, where they are using it for Bitcoin and stuff. And okay, I didn't agree with the occupation. But I'm glad that they're using Bitcoin. And so whatever pumps the price, Dean.
Yeah, I get it.
Daddy wants to retire.
Buy the news, sell the news, kids.
Daddy
Buy
wants
the news,
car.
sell the news. Yeah, I get that. Well, listen, dude, I really appreciate you kind of explaining some stuff to us, and after talking to you prior to coming on the show, and obviously on the show, talking about the heat that's on the Russian people. Because that's who this all got passed on to, right? Like the financial pressure and the pain and the sanctions. Sure, it hit billionaires who will become millionaires, and I get that. But like the people who they're targeting aren't the ones that are paying the price. 26% interest rate. That's like 1982 in Canada. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Fucking crushing. Gas is like 12 times more expensive. And then Anonymous, did you see they hacked all the gas pumps? And so none of them worked, and it just displayed a sign that said, long live Ukraine, fuck Putin. Oh, I love Anonymous. They're like one of my favorite groups of people on the planet. But
it's so fucking smart. Like some of the things they're doing.
I know.
Yeah.
But the tech involved in where we are at in wartime, because this is legitimately wartime, either helps or hurts, right? And in this case, I think it's helping. I mean, I have a little Bitcoin. Locke's got a little Bitcoin. You've got a lot of Bitcoin. Some people have lots. Some people have a little bit. But you're right. Anytime that there's something that's decentralized that the government can't get their hands on, everybody wants to use it. Like everybody.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of the narrative is that some Russian oligarchs are potentially going to be buying Bitcoin. Like just out today, Vladimir Putin said something along the lines of, "No one can move more than $10,000 outside of the country." Today, that was a tweet that I saw, a headline that I saw. And so, if you are someone who is sitting on a boatload of money that is now worth half, and you're just trying to save yourself. There is potentially an opportunity to put it into something like Bitcoin and then just hold it so the government can't have control over it. So again, not saying that I agree with Russia or oligarchs or any of that stuff. I'm just saying that I think that that's some of the narrative that's going around right now. And you're seeing that in some of the price action, where you see people, like yesterday was the biggest percentage gain of Bitcoin in over a year. Why is that? Because the economic sanctions that are happening are real and impacting people for real. And so I think long term, I think it'll be good for Bitcoin. But I don't know. It's a weird spot to be in because I see the use case of Bitcoin years out. And, and I see it being used as a settlement layer and a monetary network for the whole world. And so I see that long-term vision. I don't like, obviously, the short-term vision of things that are happening around the world that I can't control and where people are getting hurt and stuff.
Just as much of the negative use of it, like the oligarchs and things like that, there is the positive things that are happening with it as well, where it could potentially be financing a resistance in Ukraine to Russia. So it kind of like, I can take my $100 and go buy beer, right? Or I can go buy cocaine. You know what I mean? Like, what people do with their money, you have no control over.
No.
Right?
No, but it's fascinating to me because but this is so huge, dude. Like, this is so huge that like countries and the richest people in those countries that are affected by what's going on are now using Bitcoin as a flow through or a hidey spot, it feels like, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the price is going up, which is good, which is like good for people that have Bitcoin, especially.
That's good for you and me, Locke.
Yeah. I'm gonna sell as soon as I double my cash.
There's something that feels greasy about it at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I
don't
know what it
is.
Tonight. I know. You're like me.
I'll be watching Shake Pay.
Yeah, and again, I'm Bitcoin went up big yesterday, but I don't feel bad. I mean, I owned it anyways. I didn't buy it because Russia is invading, and so I think you want to use macroeconomic and geopolitical stuff, headlines, as maybe caution points of like, hey, things are happening. Maybe I should be careful in this market. But then you also want to have that long-term kind of time horizon with something like this, something like Bitcoin, that is only getting bigger. You think about it, and this is something, Dean, that you and I and Locke have talked about before. Only like a small percentage of people even understand crypto. And so if you think about the past, like Amazon, did people really understand Amazon when it was out as an IPO? Did people really understand Tesla when it was out as an IPO? Did people really understand Facebook? Well, if you saw the kind of vision in the early days, you were able to really do well in terms of, like Facebook went up 10x. And so, hey, I put $10,000 into Facebook when it first came out. Guess what? Now I have $100,000. And so that's kind of my line, my kind of long-term thesis with Bitcoin. It may look expensive now, but if you understand the possibility of the network, then in my opinion, it's cheap here.
Yeah. All right.
Knew a kid about years and years ago, like as a kid, like 15, 16, bought Apple. And when he turned like 30, he bought an apartment, like full downtown luxury apartment in Edmonton. And he's making $15 an hour at his job in radio. And everyone's like, what the fuck? He's like, oh, he invested. Like, you've got to be kidding me. This 30-year-old kid made enough money off of his investments to buy outright a luxury
Dude,
condo.
there are a lot of kids like that. They're called crypto bros. There are a lot of kids like that like 19, 20 put their life savings into crypto or put their life savings into something. And they're like, they flash these Vegas pictures where they pour champagne on their new Rolexes and Patek Philippe watches and like $400,000 Lambos that they wreck and just leave there because they did that. Like, there are a lot of really actually smart young men and women who look at investing very differently than we look at it. Like, we're from that school, and you're not anymore, Scott. You might have been from that school. You get a job, you work hard, you save your money, and then you retire at 65. But there's like a whole and I think it's the same people who are like, fuck that. I want to be out of here by 21, and I don't feel like working ever. Those are your guys, right? Like, that's who is pushing this forward. I mean, there's military opportunity to use it. There's obviously darker reasons to use it, but this is like the videos and the pictures I saw of crypto bros in Vegas just made me go, holy fuck, are you serious? These guys got rich? That blows.
Yeah.
They were all going to
get
early.
syphilis.
They were just early. They're early into something that people didn't understand. And usually that's the best time that you want to invest. You want to invest something when you can see the outcome, and 90% of people don't get it. And 90% of people, including myself, I didn't get how Facebook was going to make money when it first came out. I didn't get it. Oh, ads? Didn't think of that. And
they just
now
sell your information to different countries.
I mean, I didn't.
No one knew about that until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how I look at crypto, just as a general thesis. A lot of people don't understand it, and that's why the opportunity is there. And when your next door neighbor says, "Hey, I finally bought Bitcoin," it's probably too late. You got to sell now.
Speaking of Facebook,
yeah, you're all fucked. I bought it.
Yeah. Speaking of Facebook, have you guys tried out their VR yet? Like the virtual life, the Meta. Have you guys tried that?
Actually, yeah. I got my kid, or Santa got our kid a Quest 2. Got both our kids a Quest 2.
And
they absolutely
what's the
love
metaverse like? Is it a lot of fun?
Oh man, yeah, they love it, and it is very cool. Like I don't agree with Mark Zuckerberg and the whole data stuff, but VR is very cool. And we would sometimes go to VR arcades. I don't know if you have those in Edmonton, Locke. It's like a virtual reality arcade. My kids love that stuff. And so they behind me here, we got a big open space, and they put the VR on. They can do everything with it. They can play games. They can watch YouTube. They can chat with their friends. It's awesome. They love it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I would never try it though. Just out of premise alone, just the fact that Zuck owns it. Like fuck, and the whole idea of like the VR thing, the whole idea of living a pretend life online, I can't do it. I just would never, like the same reason why I can't internet date. It's just not in me to go, okay, I'm going to put this headset on and go and live in a pretend world for a few hours.
You didn't do Farmland?
No, I didn't do Farmland once.
Did either.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I have enough trouble living in my own head. I don't need another pretend fucking area like outside of my head to live in.
Do I need? I have enough problems taking care of my own property. I don't need a virtual property to take care of, right? I don't want to have another virtual house. I don't want my kids leaving their virtual clothes on the ground.
Do you have to clean the toilet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
In the metaverse?
Like what happens in the metaverse? Have you gone in? Have you gone to have a look around?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there are some different kind of metaverse worlds that I've played around with and look at. Like Snoop Dogg is big into one called the Sandbox. And then there's another one called Crypto Voxels, which is kind of like a Minecraft type of world and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I've checked them out. I don't live too much, I don't live in the metaverse. I don't have a profile or anything.
Really?
No, I mean, any more than anyone else does. But, it's kind of cool. I mean, Snoop Dogg is making a freaking killing off of everything crypto. Like he is absolutely killing it.
He's
doing
really?
He's got these little like doggy avatars that he's selling. And the thing is with crypto and NFTs, for example, and Dean, you and I have talked about NFTs before.
I don't get
is
this
that it's called a non-fungible token. And so think of this JPEG as like a picture of Snoop Dogg or whatever as something. And so I buy it. And then I sell it to someone else. Well, guess what? Snoop Dogg made money when I bought it, and Snoop Dogg made money when someone else bought it. And so this is going to be a huge income stream for some of these people, because no one's buying music anymore.
No.
So what are you buying? You're buying NFTs. Culture. And so you want a piece of Snoop Dogg culture, you're going to buy it. And then guess what? He's going to make bank every time someone
limited digital art. That's really what it is. Limited digital art that can only be reproduced a certain amount of times, and sometimes it's only one thing, which costs a whole bunch of money. It's like, dude, if I sent you a file and I said, this is the only file like it, Locke, you now own it, and it was worth $100,000, that's what an NFT is. Could be a picture, it could be literally 20 minutes of a sound file.
I have a whole bunch of shit I don't even want in my house.
Well, there you go. You could sell that on an NFT, like an interview one time only with the dude from Whitesnake, David Coverdale. Remember when you did that? That guy was cool. Or the dude like Rick Nelson. Remember that interview with Jimmy the guy from Cheap Trick. You could sell that for probably about $100,000, and then it would never see the light of day unless someone else wanted to sell it too. That's the incredible part of NFTs. I kind of like NFTs. I'm not a huge fan of the Bitcoin because I don't quite understand it. I get NFT a little bit, and we've had like preliminary conversations about setting up our own token and doing the whole property as if it were an NFT where people could buy shares in it. And I do understand that, and I think it's got those applications in this world as well.
Yeah, I actually just bought an NFT, I think maybe last week, the week before, and it's this guy named Ben. I can't pronounce his last name, but he is an author, and so he did some movies. One of the movies he did was The Social Network. So he wrote the book based on The Social Network, and he's got a new book coming out and a new movie that he's working on. So if you buy the first NFT, you then get the second NFT for free if you own it within a certain window. And then if you get the second NFT, you own both NFTs. And if you get the third one, and then at the end of it, after you own all three, if he makes a movie, you get profits from the sale of that movie. And so you are essentially doing profit sharing within like a real life author and a real life guy who is probably going to make a movie about crypto and NFTs and all this other stuff. And so I bought the first one so that I can get the second one and the third one. And then at the end, when I have all three, not only could I sell them, but then I have an opportunity to potentially make money if this guy does end up turning his next book into a movie.
It's like finding a million different revenue opportunities in a digital platform, right? That's what this is all about. It's like a brand new way to drive revenue. I can a little bit, but not that much, and I kind of get that part of it. But yeah, it's fucking wild. Anyway, Scott Trades. How can people get a hold of you?
On Twitter, best way, or I work for a website and teach people how to trade. I have a swing trading course called Swing Trading for Consistent Profitability. We've sold a ton of them, and you can get it at www.stockmarketmentor.com.
www.stockmarket.
So is your wife happy you got out of radio?
Yeah. Let's just say it's last year was a good year, Locke. Last year's a good year.
Okay,
for
so
us.
let's do this. Let's do this.
We're going to Hawaii, Locke.
Because I'll tell you this: I make roughly 10 times less than I used to make right now. How much more on a scale without graduating? Like when you left radio, going, probably it's going to be hard. I'm going to make money. Like a few years into this, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. Yes.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
He's coming out with
Civic,
it. Let him do it.
PD, Civic versus what are you driving now?
Well, I still have a CRV. We have a CRV.
Go back to the other conversation. Last year, what?
Of a Warren Buffett.
Go ahead, Scott. This is for all you people in radio that think there's no life outside of radio and you'll never make a minimum wage anywhere else again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
Like 10 times. Last year, I made 10 times my previous salary.
Yeah.
So
I love you so much.
We're doing okay.
And were you scared?
Sorry, Locke. I'm so sorry.
Were you scared when you
listen, I don't have what you have. I'm not wired that way. It doesn't make me feel anything.
Dude, he's like us. He's like us. Scott is like us. He's just as lazy as every other radio guy on the planet.
No. Scott has a wiring and a risk. Like he has a
what I do, Locke,
risk.
I can teach. What I do, I can teach.
Yeah,
it's not. I'm not special. I'm 100% not special.
I'm not
I just have a trading strategy that I execute and I teach to other people, and it works more times than it doesn't. And it doesn't mean that I will always make money. But
you can take 100 people and put them in a room, Scott. Okay, you can tell them exactly what you just said. I can teach you. You don't need to be special. I made 10 times more than I did in my job. And you're out of those 100 people, doesn't even need to be radio people. It just needs to be people that are slogging 9 to 5, putting food on the table, got a couple of kids, got a car payment. They're covering the mortgage. You could tell them exactly what you just said. The percentage of people that you're going to get to give up everything and do what you're doing right now is 1%. You'll get one out of that 100.
And I don't recommend it.
I would bet my fucking house on it.
I don't recommend just saying, "Oh, I figured out how to trade. Now I'm going to quit my job."
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's scary, number one, and not guaranteed. There are days where I don't make money. There are days where I lose money. Like today, I mean, today was okay, but I did have some trades that weren't great where I ended up losing a couple of $100, and then I had some trades that are up, and so it made up for me losing that money with the money that I've made. And some weeks are better than others.
He reminds me a lot of a guy that I grew up with who's doing exactly what he's doing. He was in the military, and he got out of the military, went and got an MBA, and now he lives on the island, and he does what Scott does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like, I look at those numbers, like, dude, you look at numbers, you're like me. When you look at math or graphs or charts or numbers, you're like, fuck off already, numbers. Fuck off, math. Fuck you. I graduated high school. I went to university. I don't need to do that anymore. And then, but there's like a real scary portion to this that I think, Scott, if you were being honest, when you started to get into that, you're like, holy fuck, how do I soak all this information? And there are a lot of numbers, a lot of charts, a lot of graphs. Yeah. And on top of it, it's my money, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the thing. Did you ever have any scary moments where you first got into it and you're like, oh my God, I think I just pissed my life savings away. My wife's going to kill me.
I've had scary moments like that in the last 6 months. 100% sure. You know, seriously? Like when there, Bitcoin dropped $10,000 in one night. And I sat through a significant drawdown during that time.
Do you watch the?
Yeah, all the time. I'm watching. Like, seriously, I got a screen right beside me. You can't see it.
I can't.
And I can calculate how much I'm either up or down. Usually, I'm pretty close. But I mean, Dean, I've sat through 5-figure drawdowns within hours, where it's like, wow, I had $10,000 an hour ago, and now I don't. And so
it's like watching someone murder you and not being able to do anything about it. And to Lachlan's point, I
would not be able to do that.
Well, I mean, there is things you can do.
Imagine doing that for like 5 hours straight, though, Locke. As soon as you get home from work, you check out the markets, you open up your profile, you just see these, and you're like, oh my God, my life's. But you have to have the nuts, which Scott does. I don't know if you get bigger nuts over time when you're one of those investors. Like, did your nuts grow? Because you got to have the nuts to be able to go, no, I'm leaving it there. I'm leaving it there. Not gonna.
Well, I mean, and ultimately, that's what I did with all my crypto stuff. So I did sell a bunch of crypto in at the end of November, and a bunch of my speculative crypto. But then I held on to a bunch of it. Some of it I had locked up in what's called staking. And so what you can do with crypto is you can stake it, and essentially you generate income like a dividend on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And so I had a bunch of it that was locked up. I couldn't do anything with. And it definitely, I had about $50,000.
Yeah,
I had about $50,000 turned into $25,000 pretty quick. And
can't do it. No way. Fuck off. And not gonna happen.
Listen, that can happen.
I'm stressed.
I couldn't do anything about
it. But that's why guys like Scott exist, right? Like, Scott exists to teach people like us. Like, I've really appreciated and really kind of sucked up everything Scott has said to me in passing, because I totally value his opinion. I trust him. He's a real good dude, and he's really good with his own dough. Like, we've had some pretty in-depth conversations, and so a guy like that to me is the guy that you want to learn from, right? So how do people how can people take your course? How can people talk to you about whether or not they should get into certain markets and just, starting down that road, or if someone just wants someone to lean on? Like, how do people get a hold of you again?
Yeah, just Twitter. Twitter is the easiest way. Scott Trades on Twitter. I don't manage anyone else's money. I want to make that clear. I'm not a financial advisor. I just trade, and I share my ideas of what I'm doing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. My strategy is about putting the odds in my favor. And so, with I have long-term holdings, and then I have short-term holdings. So my long-term holdings, obviously, have been a little bumpy in terms of crypto, but then I was also able to take some of my short-term holdings and buy the dip. And so again, it's just about having that strategy for knowing what your time frame is. How long do I want to hold Bitcoin? Well, I don't want to sell it tomorrow. I want to hold it for the next, 5 years or so. And so in that case, I look at weakness as a buying opportunity, and I look at strength as a gift. And so as long as you have that kind of strategy, that kind of mindset, and stuff like that, then I think you're going to be fine. But it's just
what
about figuring
Scott
out what you want to do.
Is he went like this, honey, we're throwing all the chips in. Here we go. Get on board. Hang on tight. Right.
Yeah.
That is a unique situation. I think what you offer to people from the lesson, from the teaching perspective, is guys like me who might have a little extra cash, who want to dip their toe into it, because you're a fucking unicorn, Scott. You are. There's only going to be a handful of you guys that are so good at this and are that risk oriented that they can give up everything and go full at it. I wouldn't be able to do that. When I talk about the stress, I'm not talking about the stress of throwing a grand in and watching it go up and down. I'm talking about giving up everything to try to make a living at what you're doing. That's a unique situation. Yeah, it is a great story. Like, I have enough problems just doing a podcast with James. I got to go for a walk with my dog for like an hour. I couldn't imagine sitting there.
Yeah. But that goes to the balls portion of what we were talking about. Yeah. The balls portion of what we were talking about. But like, were you scared? Because listen, there are so many people that work dead-end jobs, and I'm not shitting on radio here, Locke, okay? I'm not.
Yeah, you are. You're about to. Whenever you say I'm not shitting on radio, you take your pants off and take a big steaming crap all over the stained glass window of radio.
Over stained glass window. That's nice, eh? Yeah. Real heroes over there. I look at the petrification of people in that industry, right? And no, I'm not shitting. Like watching people in that industry shit their fucking pants. And you got out how long ago, Scott? How long did you get out ago?
Of radio? Oh, it was like 2018, I think.
2018. Yeah. So in 3 years, you go from jumping off a cliff, going, "How do I do this?" Were you unhappy when in radio? Is that?
Is anyone happy? Is anyone happy?
He was a PD.
I was a program director of
that question.
I was a program director of a station that flipped formats 3 times.
Yeah, probably not.
In 4 years.
In 4 years.
And I had to rebuild the station each time. Each time someone else had a new idea, I had to remake it.
Yeah.
And so I honestly, I just felt like I had done all I could do. And I fell in love with the market.
Now?
It's like a pop mix, pop and 90s.
Is it something different than what you had it?
It's more 90s driven now. Yeah,
I think it again, didn't they? Oh my God, I fucking love radio.
So I mean, and I still listen to it. I still have some
not working.
Yeah. All the people that we have here suck. So what do we do? Change the music.
There's 4 radio stations in Lethbridge. We're not number 1. All right, let's flip it.
Let's spend $250,000 on it too. Let's do that. Yeah, let's. But we're gonna have to fire the evening guy to flip it. So let's flip it.
I love too that it's another version of the same format across the street, owned by a different company.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do is
we'll just do shorter commercial breaks, and that'll be the winner.
And you know what? We're gonna put one hip hop song in an hour.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 stations that play Maroon 5. I know, let's make a third.
No, but I'm saying, like, you get to that point. Take me to the point where you're like, I'm going to blow up my whole fucking life. Because not a lot of people do that.
It's scary. 100% it's scary. And that was a tough conversation with my wife to be like, hey, so I think I'm done.
Crypto.
Yeah. I wasn't in crypto when I left. I wasn't in crypto.
Bank, honey. How much?
I wasn't in crypto when I left, but it definitely, like I said, I just felt like I had done all I could do, and I had developed a consistent trading strategy
and a tick
that was teachable, and then I got picked up by Dan Fitzpatrick at stockmarketmentor.com, and he said, "Hey, I like the cut of your jib. Why don't you come over here and help us, teach people what you do and help people in their trading?" And so had that opportunity. And then, like I said, last year I was able to put out like a full-on course and stuff. So it was a scary transition. And I don't recommend people just go, I want to be in the market. And I made money with my account on Wealth Simple. So I think I can do this, because it's different between, I definitely learned a lot between just swing trading while I worked a full-time job and day in, day out, coming here at my desk every day at 6:30 in the morning. and prepping for an hour before the market opens before I even know, what I'm going to buy or sell or what. And so, there were days that were terrifying when I was in radio. And I made a bad trade, it would ruin my day. Where I went to work and I was already down like $1,000 on something because I made some stupid bet. And so there was a lot of times where I would be at work and I would be mad and stuff like that. And I just got to the point where I felt like the market was more important than what I was doing on the radio, and I cared more about what was happening in the market, and I thought it was more exciting. What was happening, and I just felt like the fluff of day-to-day radio is just exhausting. Hey, call in now to tell us what you did for supper yesterday. Call in, we want to know. And I just said, my God, who
Let me
the
write
fuck
that down.
cares?
The locker room topic of the day.
Who cares?
I had a conversation with. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to make another funny joke up of like, yeah. What would you do if someone gave you a big jar of pickles? Please text us now, and then you can win 10% off.
Scott,
on the
coming up with
two really good ideas.
Geez, like give me something real. And there's just so much of that fucking bullshit that I just said, you know what?
Yeah, I feel cheesy.
And I never did, that's not my style to like do those weird fluff things. I always felt like, my radio style was about being real and connecting and the love of music. And that's really
why it
kind
didn't
of
work.
Where my wheelhouse is. But, as soon as they flip the format 3 times, I'm like, you know what? My love for music is dead.
Good. Well, like you bring up a great point. You're like the fluff, right? This week I had a conversation with someone in radio to talk about doing. Well, hang on. I'm not going to shit on radio like your radio station. I won't. I promise. I don't. I love your radio station. It's the only one I listen to.
No. I thought we were going that other path. That bit.
No,
we're not going to play
no. I'm not doing that today.
If you do, I can't tell you what you can and can't do.
No, I'm not doing it. There's a radio bit that someone in Lachlan's company did, and it's egregiously terrible. And I won't play it because I don't want the people who did it to feel bad.
You can play it. I just can't be around.
It's not even ready. It's not even ready. But my point is this. I see bits. You know when people do bits?
My God. You know what I said to my wife? Like, I think it was a couple of months ago. I just said, can you believe these people?
I used to do
they
bits.
Are still doing a bit. They're doing a bit right now. Like, God, there's so much more important things in the world. Sorry to cut you off, but go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is that I was listening to the radio the other day, and a friend of mine said, hey, can you listen to the radio station? We'd like to talk to you about helping us out and trying to figure out formats and stuff. I'm like, I guess, like for 5 minutes, I'll listen to it. And I heard a couple bits, and they were terrible. And so he calls me, and he's like, what do we do? I'm like, go find another gig, dude. Like, go get another job. Like, radio isn't getting any better. There's a war in the Ukraine right now, and I heard your people talk about the world's biggest hot dog today.
Yeah, 100%, Dean. I mean, that's just it. And so I find more interest in long-form conversation right now.
Yes.
I think that is much more important. It's much more compelling. And I think that that's why you're seeing all of radio's talent, other than Lachlan Cross, leave the business and start to say, you know what? I'm actually going to find a niche and I'm going to own it. And
well, part of
that's
it is
what
this,
I tried.
Let me just say
that's
this.
what I tried to do.
And you did a good job. Part of this is that corporate businesses, MSM, they run people and have for years on fear, especially in media. Like, if you haven't been in radio, you don't know this feeling of walking into your boss's office, him throwing the ratings on the table, going, what are we going to... I don't know the feeling because we were number one for like 15 solid years, so it doesn't matter to me. But my point is this, is that when the door to your office, because you're doing the best of yourself in radio, right? And back when we did radio, when I did radio, and Locke is the only guy in Canada that does it well. And I'm convinced of it because I listen to his show.
There's lots of really good jocks out there, man. They're really
not like you, not doing real content because people aren't allowed to do real content. And because of how that content window has shrunk over the past, I don't know, fucking 7 years, 8 years, because people are so afraid. I listen to the radio now and I feel fucking sorry for people that are in it. Almost like they're doing a kid's job. Like it's childish. It's childlike. There's nothing there. There's nothing to hang on to. There's nothing to take you with in your fucking day. There's nothing in this market. I'm just talking about Toronto. I know Edmonton is actually a great radio market with some
You know what
good
I
jobs.
hear? You know what I
But
hear?
in Toronto, it is so fucking terrible because they don't give two fucks about who's on the radio station. They just care about keeping the signal, keeping the lights on, and being able to smash out some of their advertising for their cell phone companies. And that is it. And I know I'm being macro in my explanation of it, but the people that do that job still, this is just my opinion, that do it that poorly in this market are people who are deathly afraid to try anything new, and they're just fucking hanging on.
Hold on. I hear something. I hear fear, but I don't know if it's fear to do something else. I think it's fear of the unknown of getting fired. Unfortunately, we live in an industry, like I work in an industry where there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty, right? And it got worse with the consolidation because these big companies gobbled up all the little companies, and now there's 3-4 companies in this country that own 90% of the radio stations across the country. And I think their passion for the business, Dean nailed it, their passion for the business doesn't exist there, and that isn't being pushed down. So there's no real energy being pushed down into the minions, right? So people are just like, they got their marching orders, go in. And I hear people scared to go out on a limb, scared to be themselves, overthinking content. You can hear it. I can listen to somebody and go, you're terrified for your job.
Yeah.
You're not reacting the way you should be reacting to that person across from you, because you guys are sitting there worried about the fact that Bell Let's Talk Day is next week, and then following week there's a solid chance that I'm going to be one of the 15% that gets shit canned this week. Like that, definitely. I fucking hear that, and that's not a fear of not knowing, not having the ability.
That's a culture fear, dude.
It's culture fear. It's fear of, listen, this is what I went to school with. This is what I've done my whole career, and it could all be over with a trip to the HR's department, right? Like, and again, that's something that they haven't been able to fix top down. Is that fear? And I think there are decent jocks out there that are living in, aren't able to be creative because of that.
I talk to them every day. I talk to these, like, Scott, you're a program director, right? So you probably, which is like a radio boss just underneath the general manager.
Guys, I do have to go here in a minute, but
no, you get out of here. You go trade.
No, that's okay. But finish your thought.
No, but it's for a guy like Scott at the end of that confidence in that time to come out of that and go, I'm going to try something else, is unheard of. And for you to be successful at it, so you deserve a ton of credit. And if you're anybody in this industry who thinks that there's no life outside of what you've been trained to do or taught to do, especially in that industry, man, oh man, life is so much better outside. So anyway, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys. Find a passion. That's what. Yeah, you too, buddy. That's what I would just say to someone. Find something that you're passionate about. Find a way to make money off of it. And that's what I tried to do.
Don't disregard what you've done. It is pretty spectacular. I know you're downplaying it. But I think there's a lot more to your success than meets the eye, my friend. Honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
Be proud of it.
Appreciate that. I would love to come on again, guys. And please stay tuned. I do have my Hot Wallet podcast coming out. One of these days, I will buckle down and make an episode. And Dean, just appreciate your
have me on as a professional Bitcoin trader.
And I will. Yeah.
Dude, well, I'll touch base with you the next couple of days and we'll talk about it. But thanks for doing this. I know you got to run.
All right, man. Thanks, guys.
Soon. Scott Trades at Scott Trades, great guy. Stockmarketmentor.com. You can go and check it out. Weird that kind of morphed into a.
You can hear fear though.
Like on the radio?
Like I'll give you a perfect example of like the content that we did today, right? Like I it's interesting that you brought up the hot dog thing, because I was in my head today, and I get in my head not because I have anxiety about losing my job, because we're actually doing quite well. And I'm not concerned. Like, I don't live in that fear. I've been able to push that aside for years, and partly because I have this overabundance of confidence that I probably shouldn't have. I've always had this ego. So I go into work every day like I'm gonna fucking entertain people, and we're gonna have a great day. That's what I do. And so I don't live in that, right? But when I was leaving, I was sitting there recapping what we did, and we weaved the war all the way through, the war and the mask thing, all the way through a show with a millennial, an alcoholic, dyslexic midget, and a 50-year-old that can't do anything else. Okay? That we all giggle when Grant says caucus in the news. But we had a good show today. We had, and I was thinking to myself, man, almost every break today, we talked about serious shit.
Something that meant something.
Fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if maybe I should I have taken some more fluffy kind of, like, do people need a break from that shit? And then I was like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you overthinking the content today? Today was a decent show, right? Like, maybe I should have had that break about the log, biggest hot dog in the world, right? But we don't question our content. I do, but when we're in it and we're doing it and I'm prepping for it, it goes. And yeah, sometimes we have an idea on the fly. Sometimes we prep stuff before we go in, we do the
but you're different. Dude, but you're different. Like, if you, and I know there are a lot of people watching, but if you listen to his Lachlan's radio program, it's unlike any show in the country because you're allowed to do what you're allowed to do. You're allowed to do an entire day of shit that really means something. And you should be really, really, really thankful to work for a group at Harvard that actually gets that says, hey, listen, this guy is one of the biggest shows in the market. He talks about real shit, but he'll also talk about how bad his farts smell and his fungus on his toenails from time to time. And that's a break. But you have that ability to be able to insert reality into radio, which doesn't happen anymore in this country. Specifically doesn't happen in the city of Toronto. It's like, and having said that, I only listened to like 10 minutes of radio the other day, and it was only because someone asked me to, and I only did it as a favor. And I heard the 10 minutes, and it's funny because I'm like, I'm going to try and be open-minded. I'm going to try and be open-minded because I haven't listened to the radio in a long time. I'm going to try and not shit on it just because the industry's kind of garbage and the people that run it by and large don't give two fucks about the people in it. And it was worse than I thought it was. I was like, how do I fucking call this guy and say they're not good at that job?
You called him and told him to get out of radio.
I told him to get out. I did, because he was like, what do you think? I'm like, it's fucking garbage.
Get out.
It's garbage. And he's like, what do I do? He goes, what do I do? And he was asking me to critique someone else that worked for him. And I go, you should probably quit and go and find a different job or ask to be transferred into like the cell phone division because it is a depreciating asset in this city. And he's like, well, what do I, and he's like, whatever, what do I do about the two jocks? And I'm like, fire them. Nothing. I mean, they're terrible. Right. But you're just going to have to hire another person that delivers terrible shit too. So that's why I told him to quit. I said the end game here is you're quitting. So you got to do what you got to do. And to his credit, you know what he said to me? He goes, I have been thinking of purchasing a franchise. I said, what kind of franchise? He's like, I don't want to talk about it because you're going to make
Tasty Freeze.
Dickie D. I bought a Dickie D bike.
I've been thinking of getting into the Tasty Freeze market. I like that you really committed a lot of time to it. It started at 5, and then you felt guilty about 5, so you went, okay, it was 10.
It was like,
but 4. You probably was only 7.
Not even. It's like so bad. I'm like, I can't waste my time on this. I don't have that kind of capital. He's like, you listen to the whole thing? I'm like, not a chance. You called me to listen to it because you fucking hate it. So what do you think
You're
I'm going to
put me through this?
Sit through that for 3 hours? Are you joking? He goes, what do we got to do? I go, well, those people don't have a personality, so that's a huge problem. And then I just said, you should probably go get another job. I mean, it's the truth. I can't have those phone calls with people in that industry anymore. We're like, what should we do? Like a guy that got fired from 1010, he's a buddy of mine. I won't tell you who he is. What am I going to do? I'm like, I don't know, but not that. He's like, well, I've been offered like 4 other radio gigs. I'm like, take the only gig that isn't the radio gig. And he did. And he's the happiest he's ever been. Happiest he's ever been.
I will say this because I quite often feel the need to defend this industry. And I know I've heard you're not the only person, man. I can't believe since I've been doing this podcast, which has just been over a year now, I can't believe how many people from Ontario listen to us.
Yeah.
Like we have the numbers in our text line, right? And it's insane. Like, so people are definitely searching for something to listen to. And a lot of people have found our show through this podcast, and a lot of them have told me, like, I get DMs probably once or twice a week from people that go, so glad I found you. I'm in Cambridge, or I'm in the radio out here is just, it's
garbage.
We are in a good market though. There is a lot of really good talent in
Edmonton's a great market,
and in Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very lucky. I made a tough decision, and I left a heritage station here in town and jumped over to like a new stick, which is Cruise. And I took a gamble. And the reason I took a gamble is because they kept wanting me to be a PD, which Scott just got out of, because I had done programming before, and I swore to God I would never do it again. And they were like, they kept telling me they wanted me to get back into programming, and they had this plan for me. And I kept saying, I want to do mornings. And they kept saying to me, oh, you're not a morning guy. And so I finally said, the only way I'm going to prove that I can do mornings.
Yeah.
And I left a big company, and it was the best decision I ever made. I took a gamble. I took whatever I could get out, and I got out. They gave me a shot, and it's paid off. The first year I was stuck with somebody that didn't work. That was a crazy, crazy nightmare. But then they let me put the locker room back on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, yeah.
Yeah. But you, like I said, you do you. I mean, and the other part of that makes me laugh is how someone who's never been on the air one day in their life is trying to tell you where your life should go because you're not good at radio. That's what a program director is. Some people are like, what's a PD mean? And I'm like, what it means is this: program director. Generally speaking, people in those positions were shit on the radio. So that's why they're, well, it's true. It's the old adage. You become a manager if you can't do the job. That's just what happens in radio. I've never been managed by anybody that has had any success doing live radio. Not once.
Live radio. Yeah.
Not once. But I have had my life irreversibly changed in many good ways by people who have never done that job. Right. But that's what radio's full of. It's just full of people that are just there's like sticking around trying to hang on to these high paying jobs when the money disappears. Dude, writing's on the wall for all those people too. So
one of my first gigs was I was up in Fort Mac, and the program director up there, Andy Carlson, sat me down. And I have improved marginally since I've been on the air.
Last 30 years.
There has been marginal improvement in my delivery. And even when I was a manager, I was still on the air, but he didn't like the fact that I didn't have this clean, clear, crisp, no stumbling broadcast delivery, that I had to think you could hear me searching for my words and everything like that. And he decided one day he was going to teach me a very valuable lesson. And he sat me down and he said, you know what, Locke? Even Gretzky every once in a while coughs up the puck. And I went, what the fuck?
I'm in Fort McMurray. I'm like Ken Linsman, man.
You're paying me $768 a month. I work evenings back selling Genesis, and you guys think you're a rock station. And my rent is $1,200 a month. And you are going to give me a fucking air check and compare me to Gretzky?
Thank you.
What the fuck?
Yeah, man. Full of them. Not for long, though.
I think there will always be a place for radio. We're in a bad point right now, but I think like any industry, I think we're in a real low right now. What I think is going to happen, Dean, and
I think so too.
I think what's going to happen is I think there's going to be a renaissance. It's going to be like, like the return of vinyl, where people are actually going to realize why people tuned into radio. And I think someone's like, if somebody gave me a radio station to run right now, I shouldn't even say this out loud because I think I'm going to end up doing this in my 60s or 70s. I honestly think that it's going to go back to old school radio. Not like
storytelling.
No,
dude, the best radio station in this city is an AM radio station that plays like, those old radio skits from the 40s where it's like, she came in the room with a smoke in her mouth, you say? Like that one. And you hear someone walk across the room.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing here, doll? And the guy's like, I'm just here having a drink. Can I get you a drink, honey?
Yeah.
That's when his face got full of ash and he went full of rage and killed her in her sleep. And like those old school radio things, like War of the Worlds or something else. There's a station here that does it. It's like, fuck, that's the only thing that's worth listening to out here. Like legitimately, because people are so fucking scared. And the problem is Toronto is not the problem that you have in Edmonton. The problem with Toronto is this, and it's very simple, is that these are head office media companies, right? Like,
so you got the guy that runs the company driving in, listening to you.
Driving in.
They're even more terrified.
There were so many times that John Cassidy, who was a peach of an individual, he was our boss, our president. He's at Order of Canada, wonderful man. John Cassidy was our president at the Edge, and he fucking kept me employed for a long time. There's a lot of times I had meetings with him. He's like, Dino, I'll save your bacon again because I fucking love your show. And I'm like, thanks, bud. It's a great guy, right? So anyway, long story short, there were days where he would like literally get off the elevator, come into the studio and say hi to us. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, great. Love the show. Great. Good stuff. It was the second that they let the lawyers have an opinion on what we were doing that problems really started, right? John was great. But the problem with media in this city, it is absolutely 100% run by two people, a lawyer and an accountant. And the accountant is telling the people that own the company, we're not making as much money. Cut. And the lawyer is telling the people that own that money, we can't do these things. They may get us in trouble. And therefore, everybody in the city of Toronto that does radio does it absolutely fucking neutered. So,
neutered. That's a great way of putting it.
And I feel sorry for him. It's not like I shit on the business only because I'm shitting on the industry and the people that are continuing to fuck it over. You're right. Radio in its place could be the most impactful medium we have left because it's A, free, B, it's everywhere. It's fucking everywhere. And if you use it right, you use the right synergies, you can do it. But you got to use personalities, you got to use people, and you got to have good intentions. And there aren't those in that business. Like it is a valueless industry. It truly, truly is from top to bottom. And until they become a valued industry, they're never going to fucking experience that renaissance that you talk about.
Give me one signal. One signal, doesn't matter where, I could change the way radio's like the impact radio is having in this country right now. I'd put live jocks on. I'd empower them. I give them all 4-hour shifts. Day. You talk after every second song. You get to pick your own fucking music.
How about this? No format.
And it's 24 hours. No format. Format doesn't matter.
I could probably, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I don't like bigging myself up at the end of these things. And we've been on for 2.5 hours, so I don't want to talk about it. But if someone said to me, take this radio station, make it profitable, it would take me 6 months. 6 months. And it would be fucking awesome. Yep. They would sound good. They would be digital first. They would have an entire plan for monetizing micro content. They would have like every single jock would be their own business, you can make as much money as you want. We're going to empower you, and you're going to help us empower ourselves. I have like fucking Excel spreadsheets, pictures, beautiful crayons. I got crayons. It's so easy to do, but no one's willing to do it because that would have to come with an admission that, oh, fuck, we do suck. Right?
Yeah.
That's where it would have to start, but it won't start because there's a lot of people out there that justify their paychecks by telling you how radio works. It is DEEEED dead.
Again, I don't agree, but I think it's in a bad place right now. And
in this city.
Yeah. In this country, it's in a bad place. It is.
In general.
And I got a lot of friends in this business that are really struggling right now, and I feel bad for them. I got a lot of talented friends that are struggling in this business right now, and they're questioning doing stuff like Scott. Or opening up a Tasty Freeze.
They fucking should, dude. And here's the other thing. Life doesn't, like, no one's going to be in one Tasty Freeze to get a Dickie D bike. No one's going to be doing that forever. No job lasts forever, right? But it's like it's a ground shaking thing for anybody in this industry to be able to say, what if I'm not doing that job because of what it gives me and the gas it gives me and how I feel about me and being in front of people, having people listen to me. If you take yourself and what you think you want out of that equation, you'll see that you need to go and do something that makes you feel fulfilled. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, this is the most fulfilling enterprise I've ever been involved in. There's no anxiety unless I give it to myself. Any meeting I want to have, I get to decide if I want to have it or not. And I have to eat what I kill, right? And I take this very seriously as a business as well, because I'm not working for other people who tell me constantly that they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I got to thank you for letting me sort of like sabotage you every day on this thing.
I love it. It's the best.
I've been a passenger and I've learned a lot, and I actually think I've become a better broadcaster because of my involvement with this Blundell podcast that I jump on here.
I appreciate it. And I think we all are better when we work together and we decide that we want to do something and build something, right? Like, that's the
community of this thing that you built, I think, is something that I keep bringing up to you, which is important to me.
Yeah, I love it. Appreciate you, Locke. Thanks so much. Again, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him.
Can I give a local business a plug?
Fuck yeah.
This is a bag of cookies that I bought from Confetti Sweets in Sherwood Park, not too far away from the Costco. Mm-hmm. It's $10 for 6 sugar cookies. They have blue and yellow. You might recognize those colors. All the money raised going to the Canadian Ukraine Society. So they're sending money to the war effort to help out in humanitarian ways. Mm-hmm. Okay. She started making the cookies on Saturday. As of this morning, she had raised, what did she say on the show today? 10 grand, I think.
Wow.
$10,000 since Saturday.
And if can you order online, or how do people get in touch with those? How can people find them?
You got to go to Confetti Sweets and get them. It's just a small. And listen, I've had her cookies, Kelly. I've had her cookies multiple times. They're insanely good. Everyone talks about her damn cookies. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you live in the Edmonton area and you can swing by, grab a bag. I'd even call ahead because they can't keep up right now.
What a great fucking story.
10 grand since Saturday, dude.
Yeah.
$10,000, awesome. six cookies, $10 each. I bought 2 bags. I bought one for the wife and one for the boys tomorrow morning on the show. So
awesome. Well, thanks for doing that. And you're right. I mean, we've talked a lot about a million different things. We touched on Ukraine. Obviously, that's top of mind for us, and it's top of mind for everybody. We'll have a big show tomorrow. We're going to talk with Cowboy Cody. I don't know if you're familiar with Cowboy Cody, the Alberta dude with the beard. Rose to TikTok fame during the whole convoy thing where he was telling guys to fuck off. Do you remember that guy? Yes. Yeah. So Cowboy Cody's going to be our guest tomorrow. We're really looking forward to that.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Which we're going to talk about the difference between fuck faces and freedom fighters, because we're seeing it in real time now, right? We're seeing where everybody's getting trolled about masks and talking about, still standing up for freedoms that don't exist. So Cowboy Cody's going to come on. He's going to join us, and we're going to talk about that, and we'll give you a big update on what's going on. Hopefully Army Chris will stop by, and maybe he'll leave the misogyny at home, which would be great. But
delay button.
I highly doubt it. We're going to hit the delay button. But Army Chris is going to stop by, hopefully, as well, and give us some information on the ongoing effort and what things look like over there as we try to stay and keep the Ukrainian people top of mind. And we try to make a difference just in, little ways that we can here. I would encourage everybody to try to donate to something, but make sure if you are donating, because I've had some people reach out to me saying, don't donate to this. They're just skeeving money. There are a ton of scams on there. And make sure that when you're donating to the people of Ukraine and the war effort, make sure that you do some homework and you don't just start sending money to people, because everybody's flooding that space right now. But make sure you research, do your homework, and you know exactly who you're donating to. But let's keep them.
Kelly at Confetti Sweets is she's legit. She's raising money to help Ukraine.
But thank you. Appreciate you being here, brother. And we'll talk to you soon.
Dean, thank you, my friend.
Anytime. That's Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM.ca. You can listen there every morning, weekday morning from 7:30 to 11. 7:30 to 11. Oh, that's our time. I was going to say, what a fucking lazy prick. It starts at 7:30. That's not a morning show. 5 a.m. Boom. Up at 3. Boom. Radio station by 5. Oh, you get to smell the radio station, the microphone, and you get to fight. I do miss that part of it. I really do. This is still better. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to sign up for a newsletter at DeanBlundell.com. We know we do not spam. Also, thanks to our sponsors and our friends over at Easy Auto Financial. Easy Auto Financial, making it easy for you to get in a car. Got bad credit? They don't care. They love people with all kinds of credit, because their specialty is making you get into the car that you want to get and not charging you for that financing. It's absolutely free of charge, and they'll get you the car that you want. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Check them out today. Also, Domination. Dominate with your content by using domination.com, DMNTN.com. AI for people that produce content, making it super easy to do promos, cross-platform stuff. It literally spits out 27 different pieces of content, maybe even more, in like 2, 3, 4 minutes. 5, 6 minutes is like 70 pieces of content. It is truly an incredible piece of software. You need to try it. Go to domination.com. Again, DMNTN.com to try it today if you're a streamer, gamer, podcaster, and more. And Ed at Ed's Fine Imports. His Gitch we wear. You can order them for yourself. Luxury underwear. You'll love them to death. I wear them all the time. You should too. Canadian-made underpants. Pouch in the front. Boxer briefs. Super comfortable. edsfineimports.com. Gitch3 is your promo code. He'll send you a free pair for free. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you in the morrow, as they say. See you in the morrow. See you in the morrow, everybody. Cowboy Cody's going to join us. TikTok star, Canadian dude who shot to fame with his common sense. Look forward to talking to him tomorrow as well. Have a great day. Oh, and Immigrant on Thursday. My biostatistician friend. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.